Joining us now on the Marmy Rock Show. If you listened to the show last week, you heard me open up the show with a tune from these guys. They are a Maryland band. They're called Tubefreeks. They've got an album out called The Dry Tide, and we have got Paul and Brian from Tubefreeks with us now. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks a lot, Rocky. Really appreciate you having us on, and thanks for all the work you do for bands.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. So, hey, you guys, given you've been around as a band for a little while, although I know there's been some recent kind of lineup changes, so to speak, or additions, I guess is the better thing. So, give us for fans that don't know you yet, give us a brief biography of the band.
Well, this is our third full-length album, and as you mentioned, we did go through some changes. We took a little break from the last album, and we're in the process of putting the new one together. The original drummer, Jeff, and I, we were actually looking for a guitar player. We met Brian here in the Frederick area, and he's done a fantastic job for us on the CD with his rhythms and leads. And also, we wanted to get back to our roots. Back in the old days, I was just the singer, where on the previous CD I had played bass, and wanted to be able to entertain a little bit more. So we hooked up with John Weed and Todd Stevens. John is playing bass for us, and Todd is playing rhythm guitar, but he's also a great vocalist. And so that's allowing me to get back to just being the singer on stage, and also to have Todd is bringing the harmonies to life. We have a lot of harmonies in the music.
Yeah, they really come through in the new record. And so, as I mentioned, the album's called The Dry Tide. So let's let folks know, how long was this in the making, and where did you guys record the record?
Well, it actually was in the making for quite some time, probably about 3 years, but partially because we wanted to get some songs that we thought were worthy, but also putting the team together again that we thought was going to be really work for us. The album was recorded with Frank Marchand. He's known as the Punisher. He's a sort of a Maryland legend, and we had it mastered with Alan Douches, who's up in New York.
So, man, as I mentioned, it's a great record, and it looks like I look back at the CD release show, and I wish we could have been there, but it looks like everybody had a great time. Tell us how your CD release show went.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of work to prepare for something like that, but the other bands were great, and the 8x10 is a really nice club in Baltimore, and so our friends were just fantastic and coming out and supporting us, and it felt good to hit the stage again.
Now, can we anticipate seeing, an increase now with the new record out, some more live shows in the near future? Definitely.
It's a bit of reestablishing contacts. Momentum is something that's tough to come by and also tough to keep. And so we're playing a festival in Olney, Maryland on May 21st. It's called Rock the Lot Block Party. That's going to be great. And we're reconnecting with some folks to do regional shows as well as out of town.
Well, we'll look forward to keeping an eye on that schedule for sure. Now, hey, one of the cool things you've got out there on your website is this video series. So tell our listeners what this video series is all about.
Well, it's funny because when we were planning the release of the CD, we wanted to do so in a social media-driven world where we would release the songs on a once-per-week basis, as we felt that way we could get people to actually listen to the songs versus dropping the whole album at one time. And we already had a couple of videos in the works, but the day before we released the first song, which is the song Derecho, our guitar player, Todd, came to us and said, "Hey, I've got this video idea for the song." And Todd actually works with video editing as a professional. And so we were like, "Well, what do you got?" And he just put together this fabulously funny video with these dancers from the 1950s, but they're all kind of dancing to the song in the rhythm of the music. And so it's as if they were originally dancing to that. And then he threw in a couple of other crazy kind of things, and we just were like, this is fantastic. And so we released that first video with Daracho, and that went over so well, we were like, hey, well, why don't we do some more? And so we already had a few of them in the works with guys that normally will film and edit videos, and those have been part of the series. But Todd has been fantastic with taking really what amounts to some garbage footage and just transforming it into gold with some masterful editing. And so we've done 8 videos so far, and they're a lot of fun. We're still going to release 4 more for the remaining 4 songs on the CD.
Now, I went through the videos today looking for my favorite, and, you know, it's kind of hard to listen to your band without making a slight comparison stylistically to Soundgarden. I just feel a little of that in you guys. But when I was watching Mind Eraser, it so reminded me of that Black Hole Sun video by Soundgarden. So tell me a little bit about the Mind Eraser video.
Well, again, Todd is a very creative guy, and he just said, put on a black hat and go green screen yourself and sing the song. And so I had no idea that he was going to put my head on a monkey and a Martian and some yoga guy. And I was like, really, Todd? I said, do you have to embarrass me like this in public?
So, hey, man, let me ask Brian about your entry into the band and what it's been like for you as I guess, one of the newer members of the band.
Well, I pretty much answered an ad that Paul put up. It's been pretty much 2 years ago exactly. And I came over to his house and we jammed, and he showed me some of the ideas for the new album. And just stuck with it, and it took a while to get some momentum, but, you know, as the other guys came into the fray, we just decided to go for it, and the recording, you know, went well, and it sounded great, and yeah, I just happy I stuck with it.
Now, Brian, for you, is this a similar style of music that you've been playing in the past? Is this a departure for you, or is it very similar to what you've done previously with other bands?
When I was a lot younger, I was playing nothing but rock guitar, and then I probably hadn't touched that for 5-7 years. I've been playing fiddle in a bluegrass band.
Oh, wow.
Tubefreeks is pretty much the first time I played rock in a long time, so it's nice to be back. A lot more equipment to haul around, but
a lot more than a fiddle, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, hey, I mentioned, I saw you guys notice, I spun "Wicked Sky" as my opening tune last week on the show, and it's actually my favorite song on the record. So, tell me a little bit about that tune, "Wicked Sky."
Well, so when we were putting the songs together, in the past, it was more of a collaborative effort. And this time, as I mentioned, I was kind of going through some health issues, actually, and I was just writing a bunch of songs before we had even contacted Brian. And we had a couple of riff ideas, but that song, when I came across the opening chords and riff to that, it just hit me right away. I was like, that's a keeper. And from there, it expanded out into the other parts of the song. But it was just one of those tunes that really gave us the momentum to say, hey, let's build some stuff around this because it's a great song, and if we can get it recorded well, it could really go over well. And so it was definitely a key to us, building around that for the album.
Well, like I said, it's definitely my favorite tune, bar none on the album. It's a great album, top to bottom. Now, I was looking at your website today, Tubefreeks.com, and I'll tell people how to get there. It's Tube, T-U-B-E, Freaks spelled F-R-E-E-K-S, Tubefreeks.com. And, as an interviewer, one of the questions I almost never ask bands is about where they got their name, but you guys have a whole little write-up in there about it. So, actually, when you click on the band, it says, what is a Tube Freak? So, I'm going to let you answer that question for our listeners.
Well, there's a whole story behind our previous band name, which thankfully we had to get rid of. But there were a couple of guys that they spat out the name at the same time, and they both try to claim that ownership of creating the name. But there's a book actually from Thomas Pynchon, I think is his name. It's called Vineland. And there's one place in the book, and our roommate at the time was reading the book, and he claims that that's where the name came from. But he refers to these tube freaks that have tubular disorders. And those are people that can't stop watching TV. So we thought it was neat, but, over the years, people have come up with all sorts of meanings for tube freaks, like surfers will call themselves tube freaks. People that maybe smoke illicit substances will call themselves tube freaks. So there's lots of different meanings for the word, and we've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, like I said, I almost never ask fans that question, but you guys had that story was out there on the website, so I felt kind of compelled to ask you about it. So, hey man, I've had a pleasure talking to you guys, and I want to thank you for the cool merch you sent over to the headquarters here, man. And we've been playing the record here. Once again, the album's called The Dry Tide. You can go pick that one up right now. And out of Maryland, man, they're Tube Freaks, and we've had Paul and Brian. Guys, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I'm sure we'll see you at a live show soon.
Thanks a lot, Rocky.
That sounds great, Rocky. Really appreciate you having us on as well, and for all of your help.